Hello artists! Today we're going to be making some Vincent van Gogh inspired flowers. We are going to make a vase that is symmetrical, which means it's the same on both sides. And then we're going to be using crayons to make double layers of mixing colors to make our still life with different sunflowers and our table. So just kind of follow along the steps with me, and I can't wait to see what you make. Today we are going to be creating some of those awesome Vincent van Gogh inspired sunflower pictures. And you do not have to stick with a traditional sunflower. You could make flowers of any kind you like to go in your vase. But the first step is we are going to be creating a vase. Now a vase can come in so many different shapes. I'm sure you've seen like a vase that holds flowers that kind of is round at the bottom and skinny on the top. Some vases kind of go out and then go back in at the top. So there could be a vase shaped like that. You could have kind of a wide vase. I've seen vases that are really neat and have like a little handle. So then they have like a little handle like this. So you've got to first think, how do you want your vase to be shaped to put your flowers in? What shape are you thinking? Would you like a shorter, wider vase? Would you like a taller, skinnier vase? So that's the first thing you're going to think of. What do you want your vase to look like? And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our vase so it is symmetrical, which means that when we look at both sides of it, it is going to be exactly the same on one side as it is on the other side. So in order to do that, we've got to do a little bit of folding. So think about what you want your vase shape to look like. Here's some ideas. And then we're going to make our vase. So in order to do that, we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it what I sometimes call the hamburger way. So instead of the long skinny way, it's the wider kind of fold. Fold it on down like that. Now it's very, very important that when you draw this, you draw it right on the folded part, the part where it connects. If you draw it on this side, when we cut it out, you're going to have two pieces and you are not going to have a cool symmetrical vase. So we're going to go right here. And I'm going to draw half of the vase. So I'm going to come out like this. Here's the top of my vase. And then I'm going to go down and make that kind of wider spot like that. And then that is half of my vase. So what's going to happen is when I cut it out, it'll be the same on this side, the exact same. Before I cut it out, I think what I want to do is go ahead and decorate the vase, and that way when I cut it out, it'll just be ready for me to glue onto my paper. So what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to choose what I want my vase to look like, and I'm thinking maybe some different blues would be really pretty. So I'm going to just kind of color this whole area a nice, I can see my line through here, so I know my vase is going to be about this big. This will be about the space of my vase. So I'm just going to color where my vase is going to be. So when I cut it out, it's already colored really neat. So I'm going to go like this and just color this area. My vase is going to be blue. And something cool we can do with crayons is we can layer colors. So I could do this. This is actually like a green-blue color. And if I want to layer another color, I could maybe get a green, like this light green, and I can layer it on top. And it just gives a cool look to have those two colors layered together. And when we looked at the art by Vincent van Gogh, he was using paint, which we don't have right now, but something that he did with his coloring is he used these big, thick, chunky lines and colors that were mixed together. And I feel like we can kind of get a similar effect by layering our crayons. So I am adding this second layer of color, and it just makes a really neat new color. Okay, So now I've got my blue-green mixed with this light yellow-green, and I think it's a neat effect. And the next step is going to be to cut out my vase. So I colored this area in, so when I cut it out, it is already colored. I'm going to fold it back up, and there's that line that I made that was half of my vase. And I chose a vase shape that was kind of like this one. And again, it's up to you to choose what you want your vase to look like. If you give it handles, the only thing I have to say is it's kind of harder to cut out, but you can do that too. I'm going to now cut along my line. My paper is folded, and I drew my line right on the fold, so when I cut it out, it will be one piece that is the same on both sides. So I'm going to cut around here. Like that. And now, here's the exciting part. When I open it up, I have my vase. It's already colored with my 2 layers of color, and it is exactly the same on both sides, which gives a really neat look. So my next step is to get another piece of paper, and this is where I'm going to glue my vase, and then I'm going to add all of the flowers coming out. So we have 2 options. I've noticed that this vase is a little tall, which is fine, but if I want it to be a little shorter, I can always close it and cut a little bit off the bottom just to make it a little bit shorter so I have more room for my flowers. The next step is to grab a glue stick that you should have from your supplies kit. And we are going to take the glue stick and just, I always do a layer around the edge and then just kind of a squiggle through the middle. And that's enough. I don't have to coat the whole thing crazy with glue. And I'm going to put this right here at the bottom of my page. All right. And that gives a little extra texture, and I just think it looks so cool to have this vase that is symmetrical and ready for our flowers. Now we get to start coloring. So I can go ahead and make the center of my flower, my first flower. Now again, we have that option to layer our crayon colors, and I just think that gives such a neat look. So I can layer with the brown some orange, and it gives that extra texture, kind of like Van Gogh had in his pictures. So there's the center of my first flower, and then I can choose some colors for the petals. So maybe I can go with kind of that Van Gogh look where he did the yellow, and you can just put your petals on here. And then I'm going to color that in. And it looks good, but I'm really liking this 2 layers of color. So I'm going to go back in with my orange and add a second layer once I'm done with the first layer. So I'm just coloring in my flower here. And then I'm going to add that second layer of color. I'm going to kind of outline it first. And then I'm going to just add a little color on top. And it gives it a little more texture and just gives it a really neat look. Now, I don't want the flowers just floating above my vase. They have to be in my vase. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to draw a flower stem. So I can get a shade of green if I like. And I'm going to put my flower over here into my vase. There's my first flower. If you want them all to be sunflowers like Vincent van Gogh, you can continue that. If you want to get creative and maybe make some flowers of different colors, you are welcome to do that too. You could have one big flower. You can have a few smaller flowers. You can even have flowers that the stem kind of sinks down around. Maybe like one of the flowers is falling a little bit, and you can put one down here. So let's see, I can make the center of this one a little different. I have this tan color, and then I'm going to put that second layer of color on with my brown. And then I'm thinking, what if this flower is this darker orange with this red violet? Now I can change the shape of the petals too. Instead, I could make these petals maybe a little bit shorter and wider. And then I'm going to color in. And I'm going to add that second layer. All right. I like the way that's looking. So next I can choose another color. Maybe the center of this flower will be orange and yellow. And I've decided I'm going to make this one really big. So I'm going to make a nice big center. And then I want to smooth out so it doesn't just look like scribbles. I'm going to kind of smooth out my coloring here. And then I'm going to add that second layer of color with my yellow. I think that's going to look cool. Oh yeah. Just kind of fills in any white space and adds a little texture and a little depth. Okay, so I have this kind of yellowish orange flower, this pinkish. I'm thinking the next flower I'm going to do, I think, some blues and purples. So I get to choose the shape that I want for these. Maybe these will be more of a pointed. That could look cool. Maybe that one goes right off the page. So I'm going to put these petals on. And then I'm going to color them in. And then I'll add that second layer of color to give it a little more depth. And I think these Van Gogh inspired flowers are looking really neat on my paper. I'm not leaving a bunch of white space. I'm filling it in with different flowers. Our vase is symmetrical and down here just looking really neat. This one goes right behind the first flower. So I'm just coloring with my crayons, adding in this color. Now I do notice I have this flower just kind of floating, so I know I'm going to have to add a stem next so it doesn't look like it's floating in the air. That's kind of silly. Alright, and this last petal, I get my color on there. And then for that second layer of color, I'm going to add some purple. Oh wow, I really like the way that looks. That's a nice color combo. And I'm just going to go through and add that color to every single petal. All right, almost done with this. And if you are working on your flowers, I bet they are looking really beautiful by now as you add 2 layers of crayon color. All right. Cool. I think I'm going to choose this lighter green for this stem, and I might make the stem a little thicker. I like it, but I think I'm going to add a little bit of the darker green on top since we've been doing all this layering. Oh yeah, that makes it look a little better. All right, I think this is starting to look really great. Now, I've got some big flowers. I've got my cool vase. Where is this vase? Just floating? I should probably make a table. So I like to put the table right through the middle here. And it shows that the table is sitting here and the vase is down here on the table. Sometimes people draw the table just right underneath, But if you have something sitting on the table, you're going to see that a little further back. So I just kind of trace around, and I'm going to put this orange down here. And put this over here. Just adding my table color. And I think for my table, I might add a layer of purple on top. Oh yeah, that looks cool to me. It almost makes it look like there's a shadow on the table. So I'm going to just add that second layer of color. Make sure I get all the way around my vase. And I'm going to do the same to the other side. Adding that second layer of crayon color. Awesome. All right. Now, we created our vase, our flowers. We have it on a table. We could add a little bit of color to the background. So maybe I'm going to grab my pink, and I can make sure that the wall in the background has a little bit of color too. I just want to use some smooth coloring here. Add a little bit of this color to the background. I think light colors always look kind of nice in the background, so maybe you could use pink like me, or you could use a light green or a yellow, just to really brighten up your paper and make it look like the wall in the background has a nice fun color. Almost done with my background, just getting color into all of my white spaces. I'm just getting rid of that white space with my pink crayon. And the last thing we're going to do is sign our paper on the front. I don't know if you noticed in some of the videos that when these pictures were finished, Vincent van Gogh would write his name nice and bold in the corner. And so we're doing a picture in the same style as him, so we're going to do the same thing. So I'm about to get out a nice bold dark color to sign my name on my finished flowers piece of art. All right, that is looking great. I cannot wait to see what yours looks like. So my last step is I'm going to reach in here and find a nice dark color. I think I'm going to use black. And I'm going to sign my name right here. Awesome. And now we have completed our sunflower inspired picture, and I can't wait to see what you make. Go ahead and post it on Seesaw so I can see what you did.